So, what do you think is the best anime adaptation from another property that's not like a manga or whatever? And you already know what my answer is: Cyberpunk.
Uh,
Cyberpunk's an adaptation?
Yeah, so there's a video game, but the video game is from a board game.
yes,
Oh,
from
that's
a
cool.
pen and paper role playing game by a black creator. Dun dun
Mm.
dun. Also, white kids love Cyberpunk and be like, ha ha ha! Look at this guy.
Yeah,
Um,
there's got to be other ones, right?
I feel like it's hard to like think of the anime ones that like wow that really worked because there's so many manga companies that like right at the beginning like they focus on like how do we make these scenes so that they translate to animation without getting in too much trouble like
Yeah.
or to like with the least amount of effort so they were thinking about it but Cyberpunk is a good kind of example just because it wasn't from any sort of medium like that at all.
So they
um
could just they had a blank slate almost. Like they had like the story wise, but they could do animation wise whatever they wanted.
yeah, there were no expectations really.
Mm.
um
There's got to be more. Like I know there's like Marvel stuff, but they weren't all that great.
That's divisive. You can't say Marvel is good. What if the
uh,
what if the cinephiles come to get you?
they know what's up. Well, Cyberpunk's my answer. But anyway, I asked the question because, we're getting the Scott Pilgrim anime, like legit anime.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this. So, God willing and the creek don't rise, this will be out a few days before the anime drops.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been an animation like teased to us so many times that it seems like this was never going to come out, and now that there's a preview, there's a trailer. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, look at that.
Cherry was trying to get through it to try and see if she could see enough of Roxy to
Oh, the
make it,
trailer, yeah.
yeah, make a cosplay.
Oh shoot, yeah.
I mean, I
That's
can eventually. Just I was trying to make it by like 1st of November, but
mm, mm. I didn't think about the all of the new cosplays there will be. That's a good point.
yeah, she's not in the trailer long enough
Mm.
to like really see what she's wearing. So
All of the Ramonas have to add a Netflix envelope now.
yeah.
I think that's a very cool touch because, like, obviously you don't want to advertise for Amazon exactly. You got to get permission for that. But then, secondly, to be like, hey, remember how the first movie seemed like it was a little further back because it was. I guess
Yeah,
that's kind of something I noticed. Is like the movie seemed like everything was too old, but it's because the movie takes place when the comic came out.
yeah.
And I think they're doing the same thing with the anime, and they're further cementing that by going Netflix discs to your house.
Shoot, that it's old because that little spot that Wallace lived in, that little basement room, is
Ugh.
probably like $4,000 a month now in Toronto.
Absolutely, no one lives in that.
They have such a bad housing crisis up there that they made it legal for people to build tiny houses in their backyards to rent out,
Oh my god.
just so there's more places to live in the city. And of course, they're overcharging for it.
Yeah. My friend Maya Kiltron, a musician up there, I think was looking for a place, and everything she posts sounds like a nightmare.
Yep.
So, it absolutely sounds like things aren't going so well. Maybe I'll stay my black ass in North Carolina.
I think it still has the cheapest place to live in the country.
Because nobody really wants to be here.
Yeah.
You can live wherever you want as long as you're fine with your neighbors being Jerry and Mander.
On that note, thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time with us, we're the secret group of brown kids. Who are the secret group of brown kids? It's a secret. But we're going to make you think about death and feel sad and stuff.
Very good.
My name is Tifzilla, your host, and on this podcast, I make my friends watch movies with me and talk about their feelings. And on the panel today, invited me to his The Whispers cover band, and they perform on weekends. Tim.
When the beat goes on.
And kicked me out of her Rick James tribute band, Cherry.
Look, Super Freak has been my favorite song, so it's 5 years old, okay?
What did the five singers say to the face? You need to leave.
What?
You are out of the band.
But like we said, we're doing Scott Pilgrim today in honor of the anime about to come out. And cult classic?
Yeah, you could call it that.
Because it definitely flopped on arrival. I mean, we saw it opening weekend. because I knew what was up. I'm just
Us
saying,
and all 10 people in the theater.
Yeah.
Yo, I went to it.
Wasn't
I
there.
went to it 3 times. I went to it with my band with my bandmate and some
Mhm.
people. I went with Ann and some people, and then I went by myself on a Tuesday. Only one other person in the theater, and she was like 5 rows closer, and she straight up turns around like, "Yo, how many times have you seen this?" I was like, or she's like, "Is this your first time seeing the movie?" I was like, "No, I've seen it like 2 other times." She's like, "Me too. Do you want to like come down here?" I was like, "All right." So I sat like a seat away from a stranger, and we were like got hyped about the movie the whole time, and then we
Aw.
never saw each other again.
Nice.
It was a cool moment.
That's funny. Watch her listen to this podcast and be like,
That's me.
I hope she tells the story the same way, because if she tells it like creepy, I'm gonna be like, man,
this creepy guy came and sat next to me in my third watch of Scott Pilgrim in the theaters.
he's just there. He's too excited about it. How you know the songs?
So we all know this movie, but I'm gonna read the plot because I have to. I'm contractually obligated to go through the table setting. In a magical, realistic version of Toronto, a young sorry, you have to say Toronto, not Toronto, like I said earlier. So my Toronto friends, please don't fight me.
Toronto.
Yeah. A young man must defeat his new girlfriend's 7 evil exes one by one in order to win her heart, based on the technically graphic novel, right? Was it graphic novel or was it comic books? It was
These are
graphic novel.
Graphic novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're long.
Because it looked like it's gonna be a regular paperback, but then you open it up, like, see, you can read it too, dummy.
And currently it's streaming nowhere. We actually, because we're
Yeah.
fans, we watched our own copies, which is not something we do often, but
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
physical
guarantee you,
media.
look, I guarantee you by the time this comes out, it's going to be streaming and probably Netflix, because usually if they do something like this, they usually put the original up too, but they
They
probably
did the
got to
same
wait
thing
for
with
it
One
to clear.
Piece.
Yeah.
Before the One Piece anime was announced, they didn't have it. And then out of nowhere, it was like at the top of everybody's suggestions. I think
Yep.
the week of or the week before, I can't remember. Because it had been up, they'd had it, and then it was just gone. And I think it's the same thing again. Because I would put Scott Pilgrim on when I was washing dishes for no reason on Netflix, just because it was there.
Me and my kids watched it in June, like just this June. We watched it like it was like the next to last day of school, and I was like, "We're not doing anything.
Yeah.
What do you want to watch?" And I gave them 5 choices, and that's what they picked. So like,
Yep.
That's the one you went with? Tim, we had Scott Pilgrim playing on the walls of our wedding reception.
I did show you the Scott Pilgrim cover that me and my bandmate did back in the day, right?
I think so.
We did a whole YouTube video like dorks. We had an ad for the DVD in our thing. No one paid us to do that. We like showed that the DVD was coming out. Nobody asked us to do that mess.
You don't see a lot of stuff like that anymore. Everyone trying to get paid for everything now.
Yeah. We love this so much, and we did a little music video and made a joke. We're like, "Oh, the DVD's coming out," and then like the camera turns and I've disappeared, and it was like a cutout outline of where I was sitting. I mean, the controller spins around and falls down. Like, we did too much.
Look, that's some old internet shit.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it.
So I think between the two of us, I don't know who wins for how.
Does anyone really win when you put it that way? I mean, is there a winning?
Look, I still love this, so I'm gonna say yes.
No, I absolutely love it, but I know that everyone who loves it this much, we're all on weird equal footing.
This is true. Like, I remember watching people watch The Walls at the wedding, thinking like, "Huh, this is neat. What movie is this?" So we because at that point when we get married, 2014. So it was 4 years after the movie came out. And,
oh yeah.
You know, I don't want to say normies, but normies were still like, "What is this?" Tell you what, I love this movie so much. Not a single black person in it.
Absolutely. Not even in the background.
No.
Closest we get is Matthew Patel.
I was just joking that I wanted to make a Halloween costume and tell people, just be my regular clothes and tell people like I'm the one background character. I'm the one black background character from Scott Pilgrim, and have them straight up go home and be like, wait,
where's trying to spot you?
Anybody? What scene is he talking about? I'm at the Chaos Theater in the background at the bar going, when the hell is this band going to start? All these people just fighting. That's a lot of security guards. They're just letting that one dude whip on them. Oh no, he beat up the owner. This band ain't even going to play. I'm going home.
You're over there like, what is this? These white people are crazy.
I ain't never come back to Toronto.
Oh man.
You see Drake outside. I'm trying to get in the club.
The password.
What's the password? Money for fun.
He just makes a sad face.
He shows him the drawing, the first drawing he did of that owl.
Right?
They're like, just please go inside. We don't want to see you no more. Go in. Stop talking to me.
But yeah,
now you got me thinking about that Whispers thing. Sorry, it's in there now.
You know what's funny is you're the one who got me thinking about it a long time ago. So it's this weird, yeah.
You ever do a Whispers cover band? You have to have two people dressed as the twins, but they don't look nothing alike. On purpose. One of them tall. People like, that ain't even right.
Also, when the beat goes on, it's just going to be...
Yes. That, I'm like, in my head, the bass line is going.
So one thing about this movie is Michael Cera was pretty known. Jason Schwartzman, I think Anna Kendrick at that point.
A little bit.
I can't remember when Pitch Perfect came out because that was her like big thing, right?
I think she had started to pop.
She was
sometime
definitely
around here.
Yeah. It probably all happened at once, to be honest. But there's a lot of actors in this that out of only a handful that was already known, like Michael Cera, Jason Schwartzman, Luke Evans. I don't remember if, I guess Parks and Rec was already out because Audrey Plaza, I don't remember. But like almost all of them now have had anywhere from mild success to great success. Like, well, Chris Evans was already huge.
He was doing a little bit.
Because he was already Human Torch and Captain America didn't come out yet, but we knew it was coming when this came. So, like, we already knew him. And he was already, like, not a household name, but
people knew
him. Yeah.
Him and, like you said, Michael Cera was pretty well known. But, yeah, there's plenty of people. This was, like, their first big thing. And after this, they did so much more. Some did not. Superman in this bitch. I love him.
Oh, yeah. Brandon Routh, he was in Superman Returns in 2006. And then I think after that, he went on to... He was in the CW verse, I know that.
Who was that?
He did like a cameo of the...
He's Todd, the vegan. Yeah.
I'm going to admit that I didn't know any of these white people until after I saw this movie. I didn't know any of it. I watched this whole thing like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't care because the movie was good.
Yeah.
But like, it was after that I saw like the things that they were in that had made them famous before. Because none of those things are like in my realm of like...
I knew of Michael Cera. Like I absolutely know too much about Arrested Development also. So that was my in on that. I was like, oh, he's funny. I want to go see that movie. Oh, this movie is a book. And I went and read the first book and I was like, well, I'm about to read the rest of this. And then I was like, well, now I really want to see the movie. And somebody's like, Edgar Wright's doing it. I was like, oh my God, it's a trifecta of shit I'm not supposed to care about.
You at least knew Jason Schwartzman because he was in that...
several symmetrical movies.
Oh, I mean, for Cherry, I knew she wasn't on Wes Anderson back then, but I knew he was Marie Antoinette, one of Marie Antoinette's husbands or something.
Oh like yes, and he was the husband. Marie Antoinette only had one husband.
Sorry, it's been a minute. So.
She's not Henry VIII.
I couldn't remember if he died or not. I don't know. I just remember he was soft.
No, she's the one who dies. He's the reason. He's the reason. He's the one. She only had one husband, and then she dies. But you're right, because I'm a huge fan of period pieces. But yes, he was the only one. But that's because he was Marie Antoinette's husband. And Marie Antoinette. I didn't know the rest of these people.
My bad. Word to Marie Antoinette. But of course, so yeah, we said Michael Cera, Anna Kendrick, Alison Pill went on to be in other stuff. Definitely Audrey Plaza blew up. Marie Elizabeth Winstead blew up. Brie Larson, she's Captain Marvel now.
She got a young face, so sometimes it's hard to even realize that's her.
Yeah. But a lot of folks, and then we had a couple cameos too. Thomas Jane and it's not Cliff Curtis. It's freaking. I'm gonna cut it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Uh, he has like a 3-part name. It's with a C. It's. I'm sorry, it's killing
Is
me.
it from the
It's,
same scene, or you think of somebody else? Because
that's the same scene.
No,
He's the
same
other vegan
scene.
police.
Yeah, the vegan police.
Clifton
Vegan-
Collins Jr. Clifton Collins Jr.
Well, what do I know him from? I know he
Bunch
looked
of
familiar.
random stuff.
Yeah,
Bunch of
he's the
random
guy.
stuff.
He's the guy with the face.
Yeah, like he first popped up, I think, in like Traffic, and then he's been in just random. Like he was in.
Okay, I do remember Traffic. And
Yeah.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
He was in a Boondock Saints sequel. Like he's just been
Yeah.
in a bunch of random stuff.
He's just the guy with the face.
I promised I would not watch the Boondock Saints sequel to my native friend. I promised him. You gotta
Oh
keep,
shit!
You got to keep promises to Native Americans.
Okay,
You do.
Just that one.
just that one.
I will not watch this movie. He's like, it's so bad. I was like, I just won't watch it. It's a solemn promise to a Native American.
Did he like when did you shake on it and like a tear fell down?
What's
That is.
Is
like
that problematic? It's
Yes.
not problematic.
What you gonna say next? Like eagle landed. And...
It's all about the thing.
I'm not the one that made that commercial.
I know, but like.
I'm not gonna
Anyway.
lie. When they did stuff like that in Reservation Dogs, I cracked up super hard. They made fun of that stuff all the time in that show.
See, they can do it, I guess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they can do it.
They can do it. Yeah, they can do it.
So anyway, I just found the one black man in this movie. His name is Ray Allen.
Boy, I call bullshit.
Sorry.
Can we cuss here? I call bullshit.
Ryan Allen, sorry, and he was one of the bouncers at the Chaos Theater.
He must be black like that guy in Fallout Boy.
There's a black guy in Fallout Boy.
Yeah,
That's the point.
That's the point I'm making.
That's the point.
Hold on.
You didn't know.
Type into Google black guy Fallout Boy.
You fucking with me. Hold on.
Your FBI agent gonna be like, what the fuck?
What is he doing?
What are you trying to do?
Look.
That's not a joke.
It's not. It's not a joke.
I don't see any black people.
I had this really good joke back in the day, and then I remembered that the song that I was referencing was not by Fall Out Boy, so it wasn't as funny. I chime in with a haven't you people ever heard of the black guy from Fall Out Boy?
That's Panic in this game. Did you mean Sum 41?
Nah.
No.
I think the guy in Sum 41 is Desi.
He is Guyanese.
Pete Wentz.
Oh, that's the okay. Now I get the joke.
Let me hold up. I'm gonna give you like some fro action.
Yeah, I understand now. I now remember that Pete
why
Wentz
did they do that? That's not the thing.
is.
They didn't do nothing.
Wait, is Pete Wentz Fall Out Boy?
Uh,
I
Yeah.
don't fucking know.
yeah.
Yeah. Pete Wentz is Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
Here, there it goes. Okay, this picture like brings it all the way around, but he will not keep his hair like this.
So that dude you're talking about, he's from Guyana, or that well, we mentioned it from Sum 41 is from Guyana.
Oh,
And,
okay. I always thought he was Desi.
I mean, he still could be. He's definitely of East Indian descent, but I just assumed he was black and East Indian.
No harm, no foul. I was so excited about the black guy in No Doubt, and then wrong.
Hold up.
Wrong, completely wrong again. I had not, they didn't do close-ups of like the brown people in the band, and when I finally saw him up close, I was like, oh, that dude's Indian. Oh, close enough. Close enough. We claim.
So
I could have also said that guy. What are you talking about, black guy? Like black, like Drake? Toronto.
So back to Toronto.
We have gone through not a single scene.
Oh man. Okay. So directed by Edgar Wright. At this point, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I don't think he did the third. Yeah.
The other cornet.
Yeah, I always mess up the name of that, but was it At World's End? I don't think he did that one yet. I could be wrong. And then of course he went on to do Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho, and he's got something else coming out next year. So we'll do an Edgar Wright miniseries later on. But probably should mention the dude who wrote the books.
Brian O'Malley.
Brian Lee O'Malley.
Well, there you go.
He is
check that box. He also wrote Seconds,
Yes.
and Blake Lively is directing that. That's
I didn't
turned
know
out.
that they were doing live
Don't know
action on
how
that.
I feel about that.
Well, she's
But all
never
right.
directed anything, so
Yeah, don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
They should have. I hope they have the scene from. I hope they do the Easter egg in Seconds. There's an
Yeah,
Easter egg of
with
Scott and
Scott
Ramona
and
eating
yeah,
at a
Yeah.
table in a restaurant. I
Yeah, I
hope they
hope they
do
do
it.
too.
Like, just do it.
Please.
Just get them to come.
If
And
you
that
hear
is,
this,
it's
Blake
just the
Lively,
day of
I,
the
please.
I
shoot.
think that'll happen
Please.
because
One day
the
of the
word on
shoot.
the
Let's
street
do
is
it.
she's since it's her first time and she's afraid to mess it up. She's really talking to Edgar Wright and and keeping him in the loop.
It's such a
And
complex story to tell for a first
No,
timer.
it's so neat that I was like kind of half and half, same as you. Like it's not even just the direction, just the like, can you translate this well?
Yeah. It's
Of
so
course, the way
complex.
the dream sequences work in Scott Pilgrim, like where like they fluidly go from Scott dreaming to
yeah,
his awake time,
Yeah.
and then like back, kind of folding into like the next scene. I could see them working it out, but you can be sitting there trying to follow the whole. You can miss something. You'd be like, oh, what?
but yeah, budget 60 million. And here's the thing: it was a flop when it first came out. Worldwide made 49 million, but I found some updated numbers, and now it says it's up to 132 million. So it's not a flop anymore because it hit
Mm,
cult status.
Yeah.
But when it came out, did nobody like? I don't know if it didn't advertise enough or just people just weren't like.
I
Because I,
think
I saw the trailer, I was like, "Holy shit, that is my jam! I'm going to move heaven and earth to see it." And it came out the same day Expendables came out, and I was all about some action movie too. So we did a double feature, and I think Cherry was like, "I'm probably going to fall asleep on this one," and I was like, it is what it is." But I think it looks cool. I swear she likes the movie more than I do, and I love this movie.
I would take you up on that, sir.
It's my on Letterbox is my number 4. But she knows I'm not that great with quotes, but she knows this whole movie. Like she's like how you said you watch a movie and you just talk, you just say
Yeah.
the lines. That's her.
I joke about it. I think I've told you guys before. Everybody does like shadow casts of movies, and I always think it's weird. This movie, I think it would be a cool movie to do a shadow cast for, just
Yeah.
cause.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like too much fun to just like get to cosplay as these characters and like do the lines. Maybe the people who are in Sex Bomb play the songs. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
During COVID, when everything was closed, they actually did like I guess not a table read because they weren't at a table, but they did like a live Zoom read, and most of the actors came back.
I've still never seen that, but
I watched it. It was so good.
I've heard it was fun, and everyone you could still apparently you could tell they all still just love it.
Yes, yeah, you could. And Michael Cera like actually played the Ramona song on his guitar. Like it was so good. Everybody was there except Brie Larson wasn't there, and then Chris Evans showed up just long enough to do his part, and then he like and then like he was there, he logged in, did his part, and then logged out. And then there were a couple smaller parts that weren't there, but like everybody else was there. It was so good. It was so much fun. Like
the two captains. Well, America made it.
Yeah, America
Marvel
made
was
it.
off world.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, last thing, Rotten Tomatoes audience 84, critics 82. I guess that makes sense. Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, it's medium.
Yeah, everybody likes it, or not everybody, but enough people like it.
The people who like
so
it love it.
Yeah.
That's the way I've felt the whole time. Like once someone like really gives it a chance, it grows on you.
And I feel like you don't have to be a nerd to love the movie too.
Not really.
Yeah, or at least video game nerd. So I think it's just that engaging, that fun. But shout outs before we continue. I don't got any because I just recorded an episode before this. I'm gonna shout them out again. New York, Pennsylvania. I see you. Our UK buddy. I see you. We got a couple follows on Blue Sky, but I think they're your friends. So shout out your friends.
Hey, like if you told me, I'm gonna say this right here. If you told me you just found out about the podcast and you're listening to it, thank you, because it's weird that I've been talking about this long. And the last 2 weeks were the times when you were like, "Oh, I didn't know you were the podcast."
I saw that, but I wasn't gonna be mean. I'd be messaging you on the side, like, look at this comment on your post.
Actually, you said Pennsylvania. It might literally be the guy who was just saying that because he was just in Pennsylvania playing at a convention I'll just say it. Brant, Professor Shy Guy, if that was you, thank you.
I remember Shy Guy.
Mhm.
He got the NecoCon Nerdcore showcase shut down because he jumped off the stage twice and then they
That was
lost their
that guy?
shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was. Oh, I
he
thought
will
that
tell
was.
that
I thought that was someone else.
he will tell that story anytime you ask because it made him heated. He didn't do anything more than anybody else had done, but for some reason
My
they
f-
were like, "It's just too much. You have to stop."
Well, if
And
he's
now they do as
listening,
DJs.
the whole audience was angry with him. We were all angry.
they didn't want them there in the first place. That's what that was.
Yeah,
But that's a whole other thing.
they were
But
like, "This isn't a DJ. We thought we were getting a DJ.
look,
We want you to play stuff from Suikoden or from that anime with 6 girls and one guy who's fun." I don't know which sound it is. It's plenty of them.
It's a lot of anime.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But my favorite thing about that whole debacle is within like 2 hours, somebody who ain't never even been to NecoCon and he couldn't even pronounce the name right put out a diss track. He's like, "Fuck Nico Khan." It's like, that's not even how you say that. Funny, that's next week. That's why.
Shout out to Neko. We'll be there soon.
That's why we're recording
I
this
gotta make it to
episode a
that
week
at
early.
least once. I have to go at least once.
But yeah, so if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast and all that jazz. And we're about to spoil the movie because we know you've never seen this movie before. Ain't no way, right? So
I'm gonna try not to like throw all of the Tim trivia in here, but like if you put this movie on beat for beat for beat, I can just continue to like say stuff and it's obnoxious, it's not necessary, no one likes it. So I will just let you cruise and you can just nod at me when you think, hey, is this a good spot to hear a dumb thing? Like I'll just throw the first one out. When the credits come on, did you play the game? Did you play the
No.
Scott Pilgrim game?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so in the movie credits, it's 8-bit, and it's all 8-bit behind you. The Universal,
Yeah.
which I should also say I use that when I open my shows. I don't know why I started doing that.
I remember that.
I do not remember how it started, but the one for the movie is all 8-bit. The one for the game is vivid and loud and real instruments.
That's funny. They have to go down
It's
the
like
direction.
HD and loud, and the normal Universal thing that would be on anything else is on the game. But the movie has an 8-bit one. Well, I always thought that was as soon as I started the game the first time, I had to stop and just laugh that one out. It feels like everything they did was for me. Stop me before I get started. This is your show. I'm just here to compliment your steez.
It's a group effort, Tim. We're the sex bombs. Sorry, we are.
The whisper bombs.
The whisper bombs.
Whisper bombs. Okay, stop before we get started.
Film starts out with the bump. Not so long ago, in the mysterious land of Toronto, Canada, Scott Pilgrim was dating a high schooler. I busted out laughing because I forgot. Even though I've seen this movie, I don't know how many times, but I forgot it starts out with that bump. So Scott is being chastised by his bandmates. The band's name is Sex Bomb, as we already for dating a high schooler named Knives Chow. When he's 22, she's Chinese. It's disgusting. And you can throw in quotes as we go along, or just whatever.
Well, I mean,
don't tempt me.
Like they're all. It's almost verbatim of what's in the book. It's so well paced. Like Kim is just letting him have it. She's not okay with any of it. It's like, Scott, what are you like? 28 now? Did you graduate high school like
Look,
12 years ago? Like
she don't let that boy breathe.
No, she's not having it.
I'm gonna tell you my favorite Kim part later on when we get to it. So Knives then shows up to watch the band practice, and she falls even harder for Scott after seeing how amazing he and the band is. And when Scott goes home, which is a basement room or something that his friend Wallace lives in, and he just crashes with Wallace, Scott tries to get ahead of things by telling Wallace he's dating a 17-year-old and not to tell his sister. What does Wallace do? Scott immediately gets a call from his sister A 17-year-old Chinese girl? You're ridiculous. It's been a year since you were dumped by she who must not be named. Are you legitimately moving on? That's because Wallace already done told her. He texted her.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
immediately.
as they're talking, mid
And the sister
conversation.
Stacy, Anna Kendrick.
Wallace is one of my favorite characters in the entire series.
Oh yeah,
Like he
yeah.
tells it like it is. He is straight with everybody. Well, he's not straight with everybody because he's gay. But like I like Wallace is my dude.
I love how many gay jokes is in this movie, and they're not bad. Like for a movie with so many gay jokes, no one's like, "Oh, this didn't age well," because
Most of
half of them
those
come from Wallace.
most of those are like right down the middle of like, oh, I can't believe he said that, but they're not like
Mm.
gross misrepresentations
Yeah,
to a degree.
Yeah.
yeah,
There is a drop of the R word,
yes.
and that was the only thing I felt like aged weird because
It had, and the movie moves so fast that like,
yeah, it's like a speed bump when you hear it anymore though. Like for a moment you're like, oh, but then the movie's back to doing the rest of the stuff.
it's not like how Hereditary did it. I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyway,
I've heard enough about that.
your
Go ahead, you move on.
sister drove me. Anyway, so Scott introduces Knives to Wallace, and he floats off disgusted because he brought Wallace to school to pick her up. Then we see Scott and Knives hanging out at the arcade and at the record store. Like we see them playing some kind of, I don't know if this is a real game. I just call it Ninja DDR.
Yeah, it is like is right down the middle of like a like it reminds me of those, like, you ever play those gun games where like you're on rails? It's like it just moves from room to room and you just shoot. It
Yes.
seems like it's a dance component, but then it just like puts an enemy in front of you and you face it. So it kind of reminds me of those on rails shooters too.
And after the round, like they stare at each other, and like Knives is like spooning at him, and Scott's like, "Gonna put another quarter in."
I love that scene because it's like, Scott, you don't have a quarter? Okay.
Yeah, yo, broke
That's why you're dating a
ass.
17-year-old. Okay.
They
This
are
is-
definitely showing you Scott's cards real like
Side note,
so
I haven't mentioned it all episode. One of the things I can't stand the most, because I see it happen like every like few months, someone who thinks they're really smart tries to make a point saying, "Why does everybody like Scott Pilgrim? He's such a bad person." And it's like,
yeah, we watched the movie too.
Right, like what? Yeah.
I did respond to it that way on TikTok. I was like, yeah, I saw the movie.
That's the point. Like, how do you? I just don't get like people. I'm sorry, that's a personal pet peeve. Like, I'm starting to lose my composure. Like, dumb people who want to be smart, I don't got no problem with dumb people. Just know you dumb, and if you know you dumb, and I know you dumb, like we're good. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like, but if you trying to hit outside of your weight class, baby, stop. Like,
hey everybody.
Like, people don't understand that like loving a movie doesn't mean that I love the main character.
also, it's his journey. Like, this is literally the fucking movie. Like,
People want too much to be like the smartest person in the room, and just like you if you have an epiphany, sometimes it's a good time to just go on Ask Jeeves and see if everybody already knows that. It's kind of like, it's like, hey, check it out, guys. Here's a fun fact for you. David from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, he's a criminal. No shit, dumbass.
What you think they're doing?
But he's the protagonist, so you love him. Also, he has pretty swole muscles, which makes me excited about the chest tickles on his body. What? Just do we see that?
Look, sorry, I had to get that off my chest. Like,
no, you're not wrong.
Every 3-4 months, somebody.
Did
Scott's
you know the guy for 500 Days of Summer sucks? Yeah,
that's the fucking movie.
That's the point.
That's the joke. Nothing gets past you.
Wow, next thing you're gonna tell me is Gone with the Wind. What happened during a war? It's like, oh no.
So yeah, then at the record store we learn Scott's ex, the lead singer of a popular band that went mainstream, is Envy Adams of the Clash of Demon Head, which obviously comes into play. So Scott has a dream about a girl with pink hair rollerblading through the desert. And then the next day, while out with Knives, he sees the girl from the dream dropping off a package. Scott is instantly caught up, and you know, do you know that girl? Or no, Knives asks him if like she sees him, but she's such a sweet summer child.
Oh,
Like Scott staring like a hole into the side of Ramona's head, and like Knives is like, "Oh, do you know her?"
ugh. That scene,
Mm,
doing the Tim trivia,
mm.
you hear him or you see him staring into her soul, and
Yeah,
you hear the bass line in the background. When it changes to the next scene, the abrupt cut that they always do, you see Scott, and she's like, Knives is going Scott, and then you hear, it's not young Neil, it's the other,
Steve.
it's Steven go
Yeah.
Scott, and you get Scott's attention. Like, you just played one note for that whole song. If you go back and listen, the bass is just going do 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 the whole section.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just he is actually playing one note, and it's the most like, wow, you the attention is, they just keep it goes off all the time, every single moment. And sorry for the Tim insert.
You're good. And then you just slide out.
Yeah.
So we see Scott losing time and space. Sorry, losing time and spacing out as we jump through the scenes until we get to a house party, and Scott bumps into a guy named Como, and Scott remembers that Como knows everyone. So he asks him, "Do you know a girl with hair like this?" And he holds up a piece of paper with a scribble. Not even got a face.
It's so good.
And he's like, "Yes, that's Ramona Flowers. Somebody said she's going to be here tonight, actually."
Como
funny.
knows everything.
Yeah. Do you know a Como?
I used to think that my friend here in town was actually, I shouldn't say his name. I used to think he was kind of a Como, but turns out he was just kind of caught up in the mix.
I think Mauricio might be the Como. Like, we just be out places. Oh my god. So Scott instantly vanishes and starts prowling around the party looking for Ramona, and soon finds her posted up on a wall alone. And he scoots in and starts awkwardly making conversation, but quickly bombs and apologizes, saying, "I'll leave you alone forever now." She's like, "Thanks."
That Puckman converse story is like the worst pickup line.
Mm.
It's the worst.
And just to parallel, it works so well on poor sweet Knives
Yep.
because she's got empty head and no expectations.
She
And
just now starting out her life.
She don't know nothing from nothing. And Ramona's been through it, and she's like,
Yep.
mm-hmm. Even if he had told it well, she'd have been like, "That's
Get out
cool.
my face.
That's crazy." Like,
but Scott doesn't give up, and he's stalking her around the party until she leaves, and then he starts asking around about her, and like we hear stuff like she has a boyfriend back in New York. She's hardcore. She's amazing. She has men dying at her feet. Then Julie from the record store, Audrey Plaza, who has issues. That's her little bump, has issues. Fails at preventing Scott from finding out Ramona's single. Then she scolds him. "Scott, I forbid you from hitting on Ramona, even if you haven't had a real girlfriend in over a year." And Scott's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Scott's mourning period is officially over. He's dating a high schooler. Dating a high schooler is the mourning period. Side note, I feel like there's a joke in there about Steven being cool with Knives because like and being the lead singer of the band, because that's some shit that they would do.
he's a little lackadaisical about it.
Yeah, like I would date an underage girl.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's the morning period. You do dumb shit. It's fine.
Because like he wasn't cool with her at first, and then Scott convinced him that
she was a problem.
Yeah,
but as soon as it was like, I
love y'all.
Yeah,
or you guys play great, and then he was like, okay,
is immediate flip. Mm-hmm. She's an asset now.
Well, because that's the line. Like when Scott like first brings her, Steven is like, "Is she gonna freak?" And Scott's like, "No, she'll be cool." And he's like, "No, I want her to freak." Like he knows somebody their age is not gonna really give a shit that they're in a band.
Right.
So this girl is gonna like
embolden me, please.
That's funny. So that night, when Wallace gets home, he tries to go to sleep, but Scott starts telling him about Ramona, and Wallace tells him to break it up with his fake high school girlfriend.
Yeah,
And
you
Scott
wanna
gets a call from his sister, instantly scolding him about thinking about juggling
Oh.
two girls.
because Wallace, in his drunken, fallen asleep state, still T9'd. He still
He didn't
did it
even look at
on
the phone.
T9 without even looking.
Pulled a Matt Damon.
Wallace is choice. That's the friend you need.
Yes, he is.
He is not against embarrassing you to
Yeah,
get you
he's
back
the tell
on.
you what you need to know, not what you
Mm-hmm.
want to know, or
Mm-mm.
tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning, while ordering a package from Amazon to try and get Ramona to deliver it to him, Scott gets an email from Matthew Patel that said something about fighting soon and evil blah blah blah, and Scott closes out because it was boring him. And Niles shows up because he was supposed to meet her at the bus stop 30 minutes earlier. They go out and we see Scott is completely uninterested in her. And we get them at the arcade finishing around the Ninja DDR, and it goes continue, and it's kind of like a do you want to continue with Knives? And it starts counting
Heavily
down.
implied.
And even Knives goes, Scott, should we continue? So, this was his moment to break things off, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we see Knives is still around later on in band practice later. So Scott has another Ramona dream, and then he wakes up to somebody at the door. This time it's Ramona with a package. He awkwardly flirts with her, and she's like, "Yeah, could you sign this package?" And Scott's like, "If I sign it, you leave." And she's like, "Yeah, that's generally how it works."
That's the whole deal, brother.
So he asks her if she wants to hang out, and she's like, "Okay, well, if you will you sign this if I say yes?" And he signs it and he throws it in the trash without looking. He's like, "See you at it." This was creepy, but also a little like I wasn't sure if I should give Scott credit for this moment. Like he went for it, and it worked out in his favor, but it was also like man, I just want to stop talking to you. But then she goes with it.
I feel like it's weird for me having known dudes who would like be this skeevy.
Yeah, this
Like
pressure dude.
in a way, she acquiesces, but do I sound too crazy thinking that she's also like immediately in control?
I
I
think
don't think you are.
yeah.
Because she just straight up was like, I'm trying to forget dudes. This one's about throwing himself at me. This is not a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I let Scott slide because my take is like Ramona is there because she's trying to forget dudes, and she's
Mhm.
doing that thing you do where you're like, I'm gonna be about me, I'm gonna focus on me, I'm not gonna worry about, because she knows every guy she's ever dated becomes obsessed with her, and like
Mhm.
it's not even that's not even a lie. She's not even
Yeah.
like just hyper. That's the truth, and that
Mhm.
her original plan is like, I'm gonna come here, I'm not gonna know anybody, so I'm just gonna be able to chill out, and so
Yeah.
like he is like being really annoying and kind of pressuring her, but because she's Ramona, she can't actually be pressured. She
No.
is actually the one in control of the situation. He just doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's going into this thinking that this girl is like enamored. She likes something he did, and she's just kind of like, let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
She got that HBCU mentality.
So we see them going for a walk in the snow that night, and once it picks up, Ramona takes Scott back to her place where they end up kissing and cuddling. The next morning, he gets the number and invites her to the Battle of the Bands where he'll be performing, right? And at the show, Scott introduces Ramona to his sister Stacy, Wallace, Stacy's boyfriend, and then Knives, who pops up out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but he forgot she was coming too because he completely stopped thinking about her. And like she kisses him on the lips in front of Ramona. I don't even think they held hands up until now,
Mm-mm.
which is funny. Like wow.
I'm Stacy in this moment because I have known dudes who were like trying to be slick, and then it starts coming together right in front of them, and I am liable to literally be rubbing my hands together and
No,
like
he was like, let's see how this plays out.
I'm gonna just put a bib on because this is about to be delicious.
Oh man. So everybody notices everybody noticing what just happened, and they all look at Scott, and Scott runs off backstage. He's like, I gotta go
Just like I need to go.
And so the band is nervous about going up against Crashing the Boys.
Is that girl a boy too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who?
I want to point out how this is slightly unrealistic as far as the Battle of the Bands go, because none of them has said a word about having to pay to be in a Battle of the Bands.
Oh, that's
They
wild.
are scams. 90% of the time, it is no. Don't make faces.
I
That
didn't
is
know that.
they are 90% of the time a scam. If you pay close attention, you can almost always tell the band is going to be it's going to win because it seems like they know too many people.
Oh,
Sometimes people
Mm.
set them up literally to promote their friend or their own band. You'll sometimes have to sell tickets to be a part of it. So the Sex Bomb would have been out in the first round because they wouldn't have sold. I don't think they would have sold as many tickets as Crash and the Boys. Crash and the Boys had name recognition. They seem to have a decent amount of people at the show already.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you get the
Steven was nervous
yeah,
seeing them, but
they
like
sold the 5 tickets
Crash
they had,
was.
and that was everybody in their band.
That was
Like,
their, yeah.
so
That's damn.
their nerves were accurate. Uh, I've been in that place before. I have sold tickets. I was invited in to be in part of one Battle of the Bands where it wasn't like a pay to play thing, and it was nerve wracking. Just knowing that, like, oh no, I could go way too long about the story, but I'll sum it up with the band that won played a. This was at a certain time, and the band that won played a song about 9/11.
Oh.
Like you weren't gonna vote for the band that played a song where the refrain was
That's dirty.
"Remember
Mhm.
September 11th." My songs were not about stuff like that, and I lost, and I
God
knew it was
damn.
going to. As soon as he uttered that, I like looked over the judges. I was like, well.
You would have had to have been an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band and then follow up with, "Do you remember
Nine
the 11th
11.
morning of September?"
Oh my.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
So I don't know if that.
Woo.
Please don't stop listening to this podcast. Who also.
Maria.
I'm not even a fan of 9/11 jokes, and I couldn't stop myself. So
Oh
I'm
no.
sorry. I apologize.
I
Uh,
did I did way
who-
too many of those one day in a car with someone who was highly sensitive to it, not because of a family thing, but just cuz like it just bothered them and the death and the destruction, and
yeah.
dark humor like kind of grounds me, makes me not fall apart, and I just did way too many. And she like later on she talked me aside. She was just like, "Look, I don't like
You need to
9/11
stop.
jokes." And I was just like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Just don't do that stuff in front of me." And then she cheated on my friends, so I did them some more. She didn't like that. Ohio people weird. No, we'll go say okay. So now we're back at the Battle of the Bands. They're doing their best to get ready, but
Yeah.
isn't this when they notice? Just Scott notices them up there just doing their thing.
Yeah, so like the band is like stressing over Crashing the Boys, and like Kim is even like, oh, they also have a girl drummer. uh,
Yeah.
but Scott is literally just staring at the side of the stage, up at you see his big ass head, or I think he sees that Stacy asked Knives, "How does she know Scott?" And so he was like, "Look, we need to play right now." And like to the band, they think that like, oh, he's like giving them a pep talk. Let's go. We
No,
got this. We got this. And really, he just wants to stop this from happening, and he
he's
does because when they start playing, like Knives stops what she's saying, runs to the edge, and screams, and then faints.
I want to be a jerk, but Steven gets slapped as much as the brown girl in that one. Was that anime with the sword protagonist, tough girl? Good God, it just completely evaded my mind. That's all I can think about. She had a sword, and that poor brown girl got slapped all the time.
Revolutionary girl,
Yes, Utena. Why she get slapped so
or
much?
Anthe.
Just so much. These are great songs. Also,
Yeah,
all these bands are supposed to be amateur bands, but you had Beck write the music, so. And I think like Streetlight Manifesto is Crashing the Boys. Like, there's a lot of like, come on, man.
I
I would
knew I
never made one of
recognized
these.
Crash, but I recognized him from watching something, and I've never seen him again after that. Because I remember in the theater being like, "Hey, that's that one dude from that thing I saw," and then I never saw him again. But
There's
yeah,
a few of
so
those in that movie, though. Like, there's
yeah,
a few people who I don't remember seeing young Neil in anything.
him, and there's one other person. When I was watching, I remembered that those were the only people that I never saw again.
Hmm.
But everybody else I did. Even Como.
Yeah, Como's
Yeah.
I've seen in
Como was in
commercials.
Blackish. He was a white coworker for Anthony Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
So the band starts out starts out good and everybody is captivated and everything. Then through the roof, a guy crashes down into the audience. Mr. Pilgrim, it is I, Matthew Patel. Consider our fight begun. And then he launches at Scott, and Wallace yells out, "Watch out! He's that one guy!" And they start to fight the battle. And like Scott's like, "Who the hell are you?" "My name is Matthew Patel, and I'm Ramona's first evil ex." Do it.
You gotta say boyfriend.
Sorry. Oh yeah, that was sorry. My name is Matthew Patel. I'm Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend. Sorry. Had to get the right amount of.
It's sassy.
Scott's like, "Wait, we're fighting over Ramona?" And then Matthew's like, "Can you get the email explaining the situation?" "I skimmed it. You will pay for your insolence." So dramatic. So Ramona explains it was the 7th grade. It was football season. For some reason, all the jock boys wanted me. Matthew was the only non-white, non-jock boy in town. So the two of us joined forces and took them all down. We brawled and scrapped for hours. Nothing could beat Matthew's mystical powers.
Being from a football town, it tracks. There was some real spooky girls who would like just
Do something to the jocks?
no, like they were constantly like specifically a girl that I technically dated, which now feels weird. Now that I think about it, because I was brown and not very football-y. She keyed one of the football players' cars, and people were like, "Oh, you can't drive that car anymore. She probably put a hex on you, boy." And everybody was super religious there, so they really
Not a
thought she put a
hex.
they thought for real she put a curse on his car. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's just a key. She scratched
Didn't it happen
her
in the Breakfast Club?
with some Heather's joint.
Oh. So Matthew floats up and starts a Bollywood dance number with demon hipster chicks. That kind of popped up out of nowhere. And he throws fireballs down at Scott. When he throws the fireballs, do you catch that he actually kills somebody?
No, he hits crashing the boys. They're out.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's Crash that he hits.
Yeah,
Because you
he hits.
get like the little flash of skeleton.
He
Yeah.
kills the competition.
That's why
to
they
death.
win. That's why they win.
Yeah, the other man is
funny.
out.
I'm sorry. This was the first time I realized he killed somebody in the back, but it was like I didn't only partially caught it. I didn't realize that it was Crash.
They don't die in the comic book, and they come back later to help as the boys and Crash.
That's funny.
It's a very cute scene, but like they're out. This is the worst way. This worst way to end up winning, in my my opinion. Like they just can't play again.
Yeah. So as Matthew sings and Scott catches him off guard by frisbeeing a symbol at his head, and like that defeats him and he bursts into coins. Ramona dips out and tells Stacy, "Nice meeting you and your gay friends." And Stacy's like, "Gay friends?" And she turns and finds Wallace making out with the boyfriend. And she's like, "Wallace? Again?"
I mean, they set that up when he was being introduced to Knives. She was like, "Oh, you're gay? Do you want to know the boys at my school who are gay?" And Wallace says, "Does he wear glasses?"
Does he wear glasses?
This guy was like wearing glasses.
See, I don't look. You're probably right because I'm usually wrong in these situations. My dumbass read that joke as Knives going to Catholic school or whatever, or wearing uniforms to school.
Mhm.
So I heard does he wear glasses, and my brain went to Harry Potter because Knives' uniform is like.
What?
You know what you said makes so much more sense.
Harry
Anyway.
Potter.
Hey,
Anyway.
come on! What do you not look in the mirror? Guys with glasses are cute. We're
Shucks.
cute. Get yourself together, my man.
My dumbass did not see that he was talking about a dude literally standing next to him.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
some more Tim thoughts. He looks a little bit like the Page Master, so it's really weird for Kieran Culkin to be making out with him.
It's funny because it was his brother that Macaulay.
Yeah, that's a Tim thing there.
That's funny.
You won't find that on IMDb trivia. I'm gonna get a profile. I'm gonna add it. They'd be like, "Erase that. Take that off."
Was this comment helpful? No. But yeah, so Scott leaves with Ramona and the sex bombs are announced as the winners, and Knives comes back because she fainted. And she's like, "Oh, what did I miss?"
She went
Like,
out cold.
yeah, she was a whole fight because she passed out as soon as they started playing.
Her friend, who has limited screen time, is fanning her at one point, trying to
Yeah.
figure out if she can get her to wake up.
So on a bus ride home, Ramona explains to Scott that if they're going to date, he has to defeat her 7 evil exes. The next day, Scott brags about getting the second base with Ramona, and Wallace orders him to go break up with Knives or else he'll tell Ramona about her. Then Wallace chases him out the house to do it while him and Stacy's boyfriend watches a Lucas Lee action movie marathon.
I almost forgot Stacy's boyfriend was there the next
We're still
morning.
there. Yeah.
I was like, oh dag, the whole way.
Wallace again? Poor Stacy. So Scott manages to get the courage to do it at the record store after Knives invites him to meet her parents. She's completely crushed, but Scott quickly gets over it by thinking about Ramona.
Like, bro.
Later on, Ramona shows up at band practice, much to the band's chagrin, because I think at this point Steven said no more girls, and then she comes in.
Yeah.
But now she has blue hair, and this bugs Scott. Despite it being band practice, he takes off with Ramona, and they go to Wallace's place. It's like, young Neil could handle my part.
A little too cavalier about that.
Oh yeah, he don't give a shit. So Scott explains to Wallace that she changed her hair, and this means she's impulsive and fickle. And Wallace is like, "Oh, you're worried about me gaying up the place?" After Wallace leaves him to it, and Scott starts getting insecure about his hair and his last breakup, and he gets Ramona to go on a walk with him just so he could put a hat on and cover up his hair, which he lies
real
about.
insecure about that
Oh
moment.
yeah, like at this point, tell me what you doing. Like the first time I watched this movie, I didn't realize at first like Scott's piece of shit at this point in the movie. I mean, I knew I thought it was weird that he was dating a high schooler, yes. But like after that, and then at this point, I was like, what's this dude's deal? And eventually I come around like, oh, he's a fuck nut. Okay, I guess. But yeah, so on the walk, they end up at the movie set where Wallace is waiting to see action star Lucas Lee come out and film. Then Ramona says they gotta go because he's an ex-boyfriend she dated in ninth grade. And Lucas comes
Bruh.
out and starts filming, and mid-scene he calls out Scott to fight, saying it'll only take 2 minutes to beat his ass.
Sliding in with that Tim trivia.
I need to find a chime for you.
There's that muscle car in the background. I don't know if this is something that someone did specifically for me and only me, but the car in the background is a 67 Camaro. 7, like the 7 X's. But the specific reason I noticed is because it has a very specific vent window that the 68 doesn't have. They look identical, but the 67 has a vent window. The vent window is open nice and wide so you can see it in the shots, even though there's absolutely no reason you would even pay attention to this car if you didn't know cars. But I think someone on set was like, this is a 67. Let's have that thing open so people can see it and tell that's what the car is. That's just me thinking, though.
You're the one person that got this, and that person on the set is like, man, I hope somebody gets this.
I feel like if I ever met Edgar Wright, that'd be the one thing I'd try to remember, and he'd be like, there's a Camaro there? I'd be like, no, my
Just like Knives.
dreams.
No.
I put that in at the end of one of my terrible rap songs.
Oh.
Just her little no.
So they start fighting, and Scott ends up getting jumped by all of Lucas's stunt doubles. But Scott prevails, and like Lucas lands a good kick on Scott and warns him, prepare to feel the wrath of the League of Evil X's. And this is news to Scott that there's a name for the X's, and Lucas says, don't worry about it, and catches him off guard with a fake out punch, and then brags about like he's trying to get the Oscar this year.
Going for the Oscar. Son.
So Scott plays on his arrogance and asks him if he could skate and if he could do a thingy down the super long handrail nearby. And Lucas, of course, tries to grind down the handrail, but he bails and explodes.
It's such a realistic like moment though. It's like
Mm,
you trying to goad me into doing something in front of these people, and Scott
mm,
goes, "There are girls here,"
yeah.
and Homeboy's like, "Give me a skateboard." I was like,
Give me a skateboard.
"Ah."
I love how Chris Evans has one face the whole anytime anytime he's on screen he just has the
Yeah, all the fake movies they made up for the movie, all the fake Lucas Lee movies are just
Mhm.
hilarious names like Action Doctor. It's just like ridiculous. What's the line from they're showing? There was one of the movies was on the TV.
Oh,
It's
he
like
says
he's like, you're gonna
you
hear
hear
two.
two clicks. The first
First
is
one is
me
me
hanging up.
hanging up. The second one is me pulling the trigger. It wouldn't be so funny except that it just sounds like actual action movie dialogue.
This 80s action movie. And like we know a thing about that. Shout out Commando episode.
Hey, the first thing you're gonna hear is two clicks. Me pulling the trigger. Get to the chopper.
So yeah, having defeated another ex, can't celebrate because Ramona dipped out on him. So the next part is like I guess the next two parts are my favorite sequences in the whole movie. So I got very thorough.
Okay.
I apologize in advance. Wallace tells Scott he needs to reach out to Ramona and figure things out because he wants him to move out. So the knife shows up to talk about Scott and Wallace covers for him as he leaps out the window. While out, Scott gets attacked by a girl. Please, I'm really not in the mood for this. Okay, enough. And he catches her zooming by with the punch. You punch me in the blue. Prepare to die, obviously. Should have gotten Cherry to do this.
I can't believe he punched the water spirit,
Yeah.
the painted lady.
uh, look, I've had it today. Can we not do this right now? Oh, I'd love to postpone, darling, but I just cashed my last rain check. What's that for? My brain!
He really did sound like he's trying to make a movie reference, but it was like, what?
Yeah. Well, I'm really, really not up for this, whatever it is. Okay, little chicken, I'll see you later. But you won't see me because next time I'll be deadly serious next time. What? Never mind. Poof. And she vanishes in a smoke bomb.
These two were really good in Arrested Development together too.
Totally forgot she was in Arrested Development. She's
Yep.
like a big character, like not just like
Yep.
That's funny. Totally forgot. So yeah, Scott calls his sister to tell her he was having a breakdown, and he assures her he didn't do anything, and everyone else is crazy. Then he goes into the coffee shop because he was just outside making a phone call, right? When he goes in, Julie cusses him out for ignoring her warning, and she tells him his ex is walking the streets of Toronto again.
The big X.
So Scott finds Ramona and she apologizes for dipping out on him. And then they notice Scott's ex, Envy, was standing there watching them. She tells him to come see them play, but he declines and she leaves, right?
She hit him with the Captain Marvel pose.
She did. Then Scott finds Ramona and she apologizes for dipping out on him. They talk about how she left him for her friend Todd. And Ramona mentions that she dated a Todd and it didn't end well.
I mean, that can't be coincidence, right?
But of course, Scott completely, like, it just flies over his head. Every single, with the exception of the Katanagi twins, every single ex she, like, warned, or somehow is, like, foretold.
There's a slight premonition every time.
Yeah. Later on, we see Nas spying on Scott through the window and learning he's dating that fat ass hipster chick that's older and probably 25. Ramona.
Steven's on a rant when that happens, and he's like, we don't just need fans, we need stalkers. And that's when the camera pans over and shows Knives with her face pressed against the glass, staring into their living room, unseen from the dark. Like,
so funny.
Poor gal.
So Knives sets out on a plan to get Scott back. So Scott ends up at the Clash of Demon Head show where he didn't want to go because she got the Sex Bombs to open for them. Tricky, huh? And Knives shows up with half her hair the same blue as Ramona's, and she's flirting with young Neil in front of Scott now.
Boy, oh boy.
Poor Knives.
Subtext: Neil has been trying to act like Scott the whole movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's been his whole deal. So it's like just kind of like, oh shoot, the girl that Scott was with, boom, done.
I forgot how old they said Neil was. Because they gave everyone's age in their bumps.
Yeah, he's younger than
He's younger than
Scott,
Scott,
but I
but
still think
older
he's
than
in his
Ives.
20s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's still drinking beer at a club. So
yeah. So they perform, and then Scott is in the audience with Ramona when Envy's band starts to play, and he tells her that the bassist, Scott's also a bassist, mind you, is
yes,
Todd, the guy she left him for. And Ramona goes, "I know," and Scott replies, "You know? Oh no,
Mm,
that's the next Evil X." They both, well, not both dated though, but Scott's ex left him for Ramona's ex.
which just awkward anyway.
Small world.
Too small.
Then we get the dope Envy performance, and the editing is fantastic as it matches like the music, and we cycle between close-ups of everybody's faces, and it goes like with the bass line. Chef's kiss.
Kiss your fingers a little bit.
You're not gonna sing, Cherry?
Oh, I was singing in my head. Sorry.
I saw you. I saw you. Like, did you see her? She was.
Weird connection. I brought up Professor Shy Guy earlier. He has a cover of that song, and I don't know how he worked it out, but he got
Metro.
yes, well, no, nothing, nothing that fantastical. Oh shoot, I'm slowing everything down so bad because I can't think of the. There's a comedy duo, like a brother and sister that do video game comedy. Hey Ash, what you playing? Ashley Birch. He got Ashley Birch to sing the lead on the song.
Okay.
So it's the world is tiny, and I just want to eat. I don't want to have to pay for food.
That's pretty neat.
Shout out to Shy Guy again.
Again.
An episode on Professor Shy Guy as Shy Guy. All right.
So after the performance, Julie comes out and tells everybody that Envy wants all of them to go back backstage.
Not even doing that.
And everybody but Knives, who just learns that Scott used to date her, immediately knows this is a bad idea.
Yep.
Like
Knives
she's
is so
giddy,
excited.
or she's like in shock, like, but everybody else is like, oh shit. This I'm sorry.
Even,
this is
even Steven, who wants and needs it to happen, is
yeah,
like,
and
nah.
Steven's like, oh shit. Like look, when I say this whole sequence, like I love it so much. That's why I'm starting to gush. Like the little things, everybody's face, like Envy wants everyone to come backstage, and everybody except Knives is like, fuck, and like none of them say anything, but you see it on their faces.
It's like, all right.
And sure enough, it cuts to them backstage, and like they're just sitting there staring at each other. I think Steve is the only person on the opposite side. Like the opposite side has Envy and Todd, obviously, but
And
also Julie, who and then Steve is on that couch too.
I mean, you said with Julie, so
Yeah.
make it
Oh yeah.
physical. It's somewhat physical.
Are they together, or is Steve like hitting on her?
He goes back and forth.
Okay.
In the comic, he eventually realizes something specific about himself, which is part of why he and Julie don't work.
Okay. I thought like Julie is the way she is to Scott because either she liked Scott or they used to have a thing and they never specified.
That's one of the cast secrets. Stephen Wright got secrets from Brian Lee O'Malley to tell each one of the actors to enhance their performance, and Aubrey Plaza was told that Julie had an unrequited thing with Scott. She had to watch him date all these other girls and like just soak it.
That's amazing because she brought that out in the performance.
Yeah, it comes out really well.
That's why I was like, they never say it, but it's chef's kiss.
I don't know any of the other ones that he gave people, but she just gave that one up when she was asked at something. She just said so.
Okay.
Because she's Aubrey Plaza and she has no allegiance to anyone.
That's funny.
She is a witch. She is a monster, and she is so comfortable with herself that I'm fine with it.
There's a Netflix movie.
You thought I was going to say something like I'd let her step on me. That's not what I was going to say.
Well, you got me again.
I'm not one of those guys.
You're a man full of surprises. I wouldn't have said that though. My wife's here.
Thanks, I guess.
It's okay. I'm not one of the Audrey Plaza.
I think she's
Dudes.
cool, but she better keep her hands off me. Not even for the reason you're thinking. Like, don't be touching somebody you don't know.
But yeah, so Todd says, "Hello, Ramona. It's been a while." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You want to read any of this, Cherry? You don't got to. I'm just asking. Okay, I'll keep going.
I'll be nice.
I don't actually. Okay.
Like, what?
Best line. The best line.
Yeah, she got the best line.
All the best lines. I've been in these
It
conversations.
should be
I
Knives
love
and
that person.
Julie. So yeah, so then Ramona leans into Scott and says she thinks that they should get out of there because she knows what's coming.
Ugh.
So Julie goes, "So how's the tour? You guys play with the Pixies now? You're like a superstar now." And Envy's like, "Yeah, it's not like something I can really put into words." Mind you, she's answering Julie, but she's staring a hole into Ramona.
No, it is.
Ramona, yeah.
It's directly awkward.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Envy, I read your blog.
Like they barely look in her direction.
Look, but like when she says it, at the same time, Envy, Todd, and Julie glare at her, and then they cut their heads back immediately. Like,
Yeah, it's just like.
But of course, Knives doesn't pick up on any of this. Like, stop talking. So Scott and Ramona, Envy asks Scott and Ramona ignore Knives, and like Scott's like, "What of it?"
Oh, I love Todd though. He's like, you guys make a cute couple, you know? You suit each other.
Suit each other. And Knives pops in.
You're my role model, Envy. She's so cute.
She's trying.
And Julie's like, "Ramona, I like your outfit." Wait, no, I'm sorry. Envy says it. Envy goes, "Ramona, I like your outfit. Affordable." And then Julie pops in. Envy, I was just going to say, did you get your jeans in New York? And then finally Envy's like, I'm talking to Ramona right now. And then she's like, oh, Ramona lived in New York. Oh, did she? I was just there. Played the Chaos Theater for Gideon. You know him, right?
Mention. Spiteful. Yep. The epiphany right now.
Yeah.
For everyone except for Scott, mind you.
Yeah, Scott doesn't.
Everyone but Scott.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else and Knives, because Knives is like, gasp! I kissed the
lips that kissed you.
Everyone looks at her. Everyone looks at Scott.
Oh man! And like Envy cuts her eye at Todd, who gets the message and leaps up and punches the dog shit out of Knives. Literally punches the blue out of her hair. And he's like, "What? I'm not afraid to hit a girl. I'm a rock star."
Neil is like hurting. You can see the pain in his face. This actor has never emoted this way before.
He punched the highlights out of her hair. And he's like holding her unconscious body.
No, it's like a war scene.
Oh man!
Saving Private Ryan over in the corner of the green room.
And Envy is like, "You're incorrigible." Well, I'm sorry. How do I say that word?
Incorrigible.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound right. Okay.
Todd just slides in.
You are incorrigible, and Todd's like, I don't know the meaning of the world.
The graphic funny. On screen. The graphic on screen. He really doesn't.
Julie's like, so you guys doing anything fun while you're in town? And Todd's like, fun? In Toronto? I posted that earlier. So, mind you, I love Toronto.
Right there. He says fun in Toronto. And Scott stands up to yell at him. Your friend just got punched in the face.
Look.
Where was this energy when your friend got punched in the face?
Like it was still bubbling, I guess.
He talks smack about Toronto, and now it's like, I am going to kick
Drake.
Your ass.
Because that's the point. He don't give a shit about Knives.
No.
He doesn't give a shit about Knives.
Knives did nothing wrong. She followed her heart.
Yeah. So Scott jumps up and screams, that's it, you cocky cock. You'll pay for your crimes against humanity.
I think he was also trying to cover about the kiss thing.
Yes.
Like maybe everybody forgot.
So he's making a bigger deal out of it. Yeah.
We didn't forget Scott.
So Scott jumps up and launches a punch at Todd, but he gets caught midair as Todd busts out his fancy telekinetic powers, and his eyes and hair turn white. Then he throws Scott through a wall into the alley, with his
He got
powers.
that Adidas fit.
Yes.
And then Envy's like, "Did you know Todd's vegan?" And he's like, "It's not really that big of a deal." Scott's like, "Anyone can be vegan." And Todd's like, "Ovo-lacto-vegetarian, maybe." Scott's like, "Ovo what?"
I partake not in the meat, nor the breast milk, nor the ovum of any creature with a face.
With the face. With the face. And Envy's like, "Short answer, being vegan just makes you better than other people."
Love Brie Larson.
They're so smug. They're so
No,
fucking
they are I have been around like people who have a little bit of clout,
yeah.
and some of them are like this. You can't tell them nothing. They do feel like they're better than you. It's like, damn it, stop being weird.
That's funny.
Y'all poop too. Stop it.
So Todd comes back outside and uppercuts Scott into the atmosphere. And like they're talking, like he knocks him so far up that like they have a chance to have like a conversation while he's like falling back down. And like Ramona comes out and explains to Scott after he comes back to Earth that her and Todd used to date, and he punched a hole in the moon for her. Then she dumped him when his dad said that he was going to send him to Vegan Academy.
Vegan Academy sounds like a name that you would call a school you don't like. Just like.
So Todd puts Scott back through the same wall, and Scott finds his bass guitar. Like now he's like back in like the front like concert part.
They're out on the dance floor.
Oh yeah. So Scott finds his bass guitar and starts playing off against Todd. And like this is important because once again they're both bass players, and Scott's ex left him for Todd. So it's like he's trying to show him he's better than Todd on some level. But Scott gets bested again because they're like fighting with their not literally fighting with their weapons, but their sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott offers him a coffee with soy milk, and Todd believes he's lying, and there's half and half in the cup. So he takes the other cup. Then Scott admits he just thought really hard about putting soy milk in the other cup, meaning Todd drank milk, and immediately the vegan police show up.
Inconceivable.
And so shit just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. The vegan police pull up, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't kick a hole through the wall. They just jumped through the hole that was already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Thomas Jane, who was the Punisher back in the day. Before like the MCU, he was that Punisher.
He also watched his kid die in the smoke movie, the Fog.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Mist.
The Mist?
Yeah, it's the Mist.
There's a mist and there's a fog.
It's one of those weathers.
Yeah.
It's the Mist.
All right.
One of those
then the army showed up. We was coming.
Seconds
Why you do that?
Minutes later, yeah.
Why you do that? Why? That's weird.
That shit's crazy. So the vegan police, and they tell Todd that he's now in his third strike after eating gelato and chicken parmesan previously.
Gelato isn't vegan?
Chicken isn't vegan?
Chicken isn't vegan? Gelato's not vegan. It's milk and eggs, bitch. Chicken isn't vegan? And they hit him with the vegan ray, stripping him of his vegan powers, and then Scott headbutts him, causing him to explode into a bunch of coins. All right, Scott, I see you thinking and shit.
Third guy. Just
does that mean in this universe he knew about the vegan police, or was common knowledge about the vegan police?
I guess.
I feel like that was anything that happened here is way less convoluted than the way that it happened in the comic book. It was a lot more ridiculous. It would not have worked in a movie. When I went to see this, I was like, how are they gonna make this fight work? And when they truncated it down to just this, I was like, okay, cool. The vegan police do show up in there, but the A to B to C is probably A to B to T in that movie, whereas this is like A to B.
I got you. So the gang goes to an after party, and Scott and Ramona start to argue over their baggage. And like this is when we get the knives. No. And like they throw it in each other's faces about their exes. What about you and Knives? What about you and Kim? And like,
and he's like, Kim, she's fine. And then they paint by Kim's face, and it's like, she's definitely
not fine.
She's
And
like,
then
I
he's
had
like,
a tear to my eye.
but the knives. What about you and knives? And like that's where you get to know. And then what about you and Kim? Oh, Kim's fine, and she's not fine. But then he goes, she had freckles
No, that made me mad.
because she
It was
still
so
has
long
freckles.
ago. It
she
was
still
so
has
long ago.
freckles.
She had freckles. The camera pans to her face full of what the fuck you talking about?
Has freckles.
They just be lying, just making up shit. So then Scott throws it back in her face, and Ramona calls him out on being an ass. This evil ex-boyfriend's thing is messing with my head. Exes. Why do you keep saying that?
Yeah.
And suddenly Scott is kicked by the poofy zooming girl from earlier. Roxy, Ramona says. And Scott's like, Roxy, you know this girl? Boy, does she
You
know
know
me.
me.
Boy.
uh, and Scott's like, you and her? And she's like, it's just a phase. And it's
Just a
Roxy's,
face.
Like, you had a sexy face?
I was just a little bi-curious. It didn't count.
Well, honey, I'm a little bi-furious.
I like when Scott realizes it, it plays that gas station sound.
Gets it? Ding. And Ramona and Roxy start fighting, and Ramona pulls out a warhammer out of her purse.
Yeah.
And Roxy uses her belt as like a whip. And like they go back and forth for a bit, and like Roxy points out that it's a league game, and Scott would have to be the one to defeat her with his fists. So Scott gets thrown into the fight, but he doesn't want to hit a girl because they're soft.
Yeah, literally.
And right before Roxy lands a dropkick on Scott, Ramona yells that her weak spot is behind the knee, and he reaches up and pokes her there. And then her leg drops down,
Boy.
causing her to convulse. And she,
Sure, convulse. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
We'll call it
Yes.
I mean, she was. It's a.
Hey kids, close your
symptom.
ears for a second. Put your hands over them for
Sure, she
for
convulsed.
2 seconds.
that.
An orgasm.
Yes.
And like as she's like laying on the ground twitching, what's she say? She goes,
He'll never be able to do this to you. You'll never be
Yeah.
able to do this to her.
you'll never be able to do this to her.
Yeah.
Insult to insult, basically. Like that's a lot. Why
At
you
least she
do
went out like a G. Yeah, I mean, so-
that?
get it? G spot. Anyway,
I
uh, but
all right.
at least she got one last insult in there. Let's clean that up a bit. So afterwards, Scott and Ramona continue to squabble, and Scott, like an asshole, asks her if there isn't anybody in the party that she hasn't slept with, and she says she would split, but not without leaving him with a list of the rest of the exes, or I guess all of the exes.
Yeah.
So he knows who he has left to fight.
At this point, it's not that many.
No, it's 3 left, and one's a twofer. So the next fight's against the twin brothers, the Katayanagi twins, who is also their next opponent in the Battle of the Bands, who the Sex Bombs are versing in an amp versus amp set where they're on competing stages at the same time.
What a coinky dink.
All right. And like Kim the drummer points out that Ramona is there, and Scott should really talk to her before she's gone forever. And shout out Kim. And we see Ramona
True.
and the guy
True
she's talking to notice Scott just as the show's about to start. And like the Katayanagi twins comes out, and like they're electronic DJs, and they land their first hit. Then the Sex Bombs start playing back, and the twins turn it up, and 2 dragons come out of their amps and blast the Sex Bombs with ice, I guess, knocking them back. Then Steve says they should give up because they screwed the pooch in front of Gideon Graves, who was the guy talking to Ramona. And like this invigorates Scott, and he gets them to get back up and fight back, summoning the giant gorilla that defeats the twins' dragons. And on the way to confront Ramona, he sees Knives, but he still can't get his words right for her. Poor Knives. Poor Knives. Then he continues on to Ramona and tells her he doesn't care about her past and he's in lesbians with her. Then Gideon pops up and says it sucks he got dumped, but he's willing to sign the Sex Bombs to a 3-album contract right on the spot. But Scott says you can't be in the band if that's the case, and the rest of the members sign, and Young Neil replaces Scott as the bassist. Just
how you guys gonna sign without a bass player? Well, you had this guy replacing you over and over and over.
You weren't trying to practice, yeah. So Scott gets kicked out by Wallace, uh, who has a boy over, and then gets a call from Gideon, who invites him to his venue, the Chaos Theater, where the Sex Bombs are going to be playing. Wallace gives Scott a vote of confidence and says, "Forget what I said earlier. Kill him."
Yeah.
So Scott immediately runs off to the Chaos Theater, which is in New York, right? So
No, that's the Toronto one. He built a
is-
brand
oh,
new one
he
in
built.
Toronto as a flex.
Okay, never mind.
Like, all of this stuff from here on out is passive aggressive, terrible, petty bullshit because you got the girl.
Yeah.
Why you invite me to your place? Why you want to fight me still? This is a it's a no what was it? Like this is low D energy.
uh, so Scott, yeah, he runs off to the Chaos Theater and he challenges Gideon to a fight. Because he said he loves Ramona. He unlocks the power of loves and pulls a flame sword out of his chest and slashes through all the guards Gideon sends after him. But Gideon defeats him swiftly. And Gideon goes to finish off Scott, but Knives pops up out of nowhere and stops Gideon. But she says she's there to fight Ramona because you broke the heart that broke mine. Poor girl. And we get a fight scene between Ramona and Knives and Scott and Gideon. And like Scott shakes Gideon for a moment and he runs and breaks up the girls' fight and is forced to admit that he cheated on them with each other. And Gideon creeps up behind him and stabs him in the back.
Dirty.
Yeah. And in the dream world, Scott sees Ramona, who explains the toxic relationship between her and Gideon. Ramona apologizes that it has to be this way, and Scott goes, "I really fought for you." And Ramona says, "Maybe I'm not the one you should be fighting for." This gives Scott the realization he needed to gain an extra life. Also, she mentions that like she has like a chip. He put a chip
Yeah,
from
like
in
that was
her.
like real
In the back
real
of her
dirty.
neck.
Yeah, so like that's how he controls her when he gets near her.
It's a little different in the manga or the manga in the graphic novel, obviously, but it's still a pretty close thing to that. It's just like this, ugh, boy,
Yeah.
like it's a literal control thing, not even like a you want to be with this guy thing. It's the
Yeah.
worst.
So Scott returns to the Chaos Theater and congratulates the Sex Bombs, apologizing to Kim and re-challenges Gideon. This time saying he's fighting for himself, and he unlocks another sword stating Scott has earned the power of self-respect. Side note: the narrator guy is Bill Hader, the voice.
How I never picked up on that, I will, boy.
Look, I've seen like 26 movies with him in it. I had no idea that I've seen 26 movies with him in it. So like, it's just he's just it's just like that. Yeah. So he quickly beats Gideon with his new sword, and then Knives pops up to fight Ramona again, but Scott stops her and finally fully admits he did Knives dirty. Then
Squash.
Gideon comes back, finally, right? The whole fucking movie. Then Gideon comes back with a new laser sword to continue to fight, to which Scott continues. Then Knives joins in too. Seriously, Knives was too good for them. Too good for Scott. Like,
No, it's
Yeah.
super
absolutely
ride or
true.
die chick.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, if she wasn't a high schooler, like,
Right.
like this is who you'd probably want. So Gideon knocks Scott back and slaps and kicks Ramona down his little pyramid, and Scott and Knives do a Ninja Revolution team up to finally defeat Gideon, which was pretty sweet. I love
Yeah, it was
that
a very cool sequence.
because it's like they were kind of practicing the whole movie.
Yeah.
And you're not good enough for Ramona. Me? I'm what's hip. I'm sorry, I got to say that like, like the dude. You're not good enough for Ramona. Me? I'm what's hip. I'm what's happening. I'm blowing up right now.
Brother.
His shoes, whack.
His stance, whack.
He don't even got a house. Me, I'm tired as fuck.
That's still so good.
And like Scott's like, you are blowing up. And Scott ends up kicking Gideon into a bunch of coins, finally. Then he hears the voice coming from Gideon's glasses on the floor saying, "You can defeat me, but can you defeat yourself?" And Nega Scott pops up behind them. And Scott tells the girls to hang back because this is his fight. He has to do himself. And it cuts to the entrance of the Chaos Theater with the girls waiting outside, and Nega Scott comes out as friends. He's like, "Oh, him, he's real cool. We're getting pancakes later on." Like,
I mean,
forgot what
to a degree, I think I have heard people say sometimes you have to accept the darkness in yourself and make amends with it, but that's a bit much, right?
yeah. Well, his darkness was acceptable. so he could do that. Scott
Well-
wasn't out here like murdering people. I mean, say that after.
I mean,
You just burst them in the coins, you know.
Look,
Like,
yeah.
like
There's-
where he was cutting through the.
If they had extra lives, they would respawn, right?
he was cutting through all the bouncers. Scott's not a murderer. Body count 37. So Ramona leaves and Knives tells Scott to go get her because he's been fighting for her all along. Also, she's too cool for him anyway, which is the truth.
Yeah, she's accepted herself.
Yeah. She's kissing Scott in the cheek, and Scott runs off after Ramona and asks her if he could tag along, and she's like, yeah. And that's the end of the movie. Aw. End of everybody's favorite movie. So, fun questions. Favorite aspect of the film?
I don't think they could have adapted this any other way. Like it all, like I think was just really cool.
I got you.
But I think that the Lucas Lee fight was my favorite. I'm
Is that your
absolutely
favorite scene or your favorite?
Well, like as far as aspects go, it was like
Mm.
I feel like it was the most fleshed out fight.
Okay.
I think it was like the most like practical and weird effects went into the fight. And I think, as far as I know, that main guy is actually still a Chris Evans stuntman
That's
and
funny.
may have been in Captain
Oh, wow.
America.
That's
so-
funny. Do you think he was like, yeah, I know a guy? Your favorite aspect?
Mine? I don't know. I think my favorite fight is him and Roxy, and then my favorite character is Kim, for sure.
Okay, well, I'll just go into the next one. Favorite character, and which character are you actually? So,
Favorite character, Wallace.
Your favorite character is Wallace,
Yeah,
and what character are you actually?
probably Stacy.
you
Probably
Ooh.
Stacy. Just
said
like-
that earlier. You did.
Yeah, just like I'd love to be that person that's like as honest and forthwith and like not letting you mess up like Wallace, but deep down, I'm probably that person just like, look what this dumbass did. It's like, I'm not gonna help you out of it, but I'm gonna tell everybody you did it.
Cherry, you said your favorite person's
Kim.
Kim. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I would say that I'm I don't know, not maybe a Julie. I think I'm Julie, but I feel like my friends would say I was a Wallace. Like
Okay.
a lot of people ask me for advice, even though they know they're going to get mad at me for the advice, because I'm going to tell them what they need to hear. Like, but they come to me because they want somebody to tell them the truth. Like, what should I do? And give them the
Caramel
actual answer.
macchiato for Scott fucking Pilgrim.
Even though they're going to be mad about it.
Jack
But,
Nicholson nodding gif.
like, I feel like I'm a Julie. Just cynical
Wow.
and I cuss a lot, you know.
My favorite character is Knives. Not in a weird way. I need to add that.
I feel like there's a possibility there would have been a D&D Slugger shirt that just said Knives did nothing wrong on the
Yeah.
front, and then on the back said D&D Sluggers, and
And
I
she's
feel like it
innocent.
would have sold.
Yeah.
And she's my favorite character because she is, which is another question I was going to ask. She's who I think the MVP character is. Like, she got done the
Hmm.
most dirty, but she did the most good.
Yeah.
She
And,
had the
like,
most growth.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think Scott had the most growth, but she's definitely, like, they both grew for real.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But Scott was just such a shitbag.
But
And, like,
Scott's
like
growth
Scott
was
went from, like,
forced.
bad to good. And Knives went
Yeah.
from, like, just wiser. I don't know.
Yeah.
Knives just grew up. This is her Bildungsroman. Like she grew up. Yeah. She would have gotten there eventually anyway. It's just like being with Scott and like pushed her to grow faster. Yeah.
How does that go? Like, men have exes, women have life lessons.
I've never heard that.
I've never heard it either, but I believe it.
It makes
I hope I
sense.
didn't make that up just now.
Patented.
Don't
It's
put
yours.
don't put dash Tim White behind
Google
that
it,
right
and
now.
if
We'll figure it out if
nobody
somebody
else
said it
has
first.
Google it, and if nobody else says it, then claim it. Jordan Peele.
It's yours.
That's what I meant.
Now, what character am I?
Yeah.
What would y'all say? Because I got two answers.
You have Como tendencies.
Man, that's one of my answers. Tifron, what's this? What's the answer to this question? Oh yeah, actually, it's this. You got the glasses and everything. Oh yes, that's Ramona Flowers. Cherry, you know me better than anybody.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a.
My second answer was going to be Scott. I was hesitant to say that, and I was like, I hope not.
Okay,
I hope
that's
it's
fair.
not.
I was gonna say Scott, but
Jesus,
I was
you
like,
knew me
that's
too
mean,
long.
isn't
You
it?
knew me too long.
But like, I was
You
like,
knew me too long.
that's not nice, right? To say
What you
Scott.
think I'm gonna
Can't say
divorce
Scott.
you? Just
Can't
say
say
it.
Scott.
We've been
Okay,
together
Scott.
too long. I can't go nowhere.
That's
See?
true. I mean,
Or
I
is it
agree though. I think it's Scott.
any dudes who are like, yeah, I'm kind of a Scott Pilgrim type. I'm be like,
But like,
are you though?
I'm
he would
not going to
not date a
admit
high
that.
schooler. He wouldn't date a
Yeah,
high, not like
I,
that.
I
But
wouldn't date a
that's
high schooler,
no.
but
Yeah.
she's known me long enough to see my journey.
Some growth, yeah.
So that's why she would say that, and like that's what got me thinking about it. Okay, all right, both of y'all kind of got both of my answers then, so I know I'm right. Did y'all have MVP characters? I know I said mine was Knives.
I'm still super down with Wallace.
Yeah.
Knives like holds a special place in my heart for just making it through.
Yeah.
I feel like I probably have a lot of. As much as I like this movie, there's people that are too accurate to real life people that I just kind of like, nah.
My MVP character would be Knives' friend. I don't know her name.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just
And she
fanning
doesn't
her.
know what the hell is going on, but
Well,
she
she's
is
just
with
there for her
Knives.
friend.
The hair
Through
dye
all of it.
scene.
The
hair dye
dye
scene where
scene.
she's just trying to
She's like, I can't hear what you're saying, but she is there for the
I
moral
think you
support.
need to rinse.
It's burning. I
Like,
think you need to
she's-
rinse.
Yeah, I think you need to rinse. Like, Knives is going through whatever she's going through, and her friend is like, I'm just gonna be here for you, girl. I'm here through all of it. Okay.
There you go.
Like, when
Who
you're
supports
done-
the support.
When you're done worrying about these white boys, I'll be back here with the Asian perspective to hold you down.
Right?
Like, boom, we're together. We got this.
Oh, that's great. That's a good friend too, because like she didn't want to be at that show.
No.
She was just there for Knives. Yeah. So, any personal awards you would give to anything or anyone in the movie?
Como.
Oh.
Not to throw him up there again. If you listen to all his little background lines, they're perfect.
Yeah.
At
Because he
one
even
point-
pops up in other scenes,
Mhm.
and if you like pay close enough attention, you can hear what he's saying.
If at one point he straight up says, "Oh no, the comic book is much better than the movie." I was like, "Sir, there you go."
Chef's kiss. Cherry.
Kim, she's an insult queen.
Okay.
Like,
Mhm.
just Scott, if you had a face, Scott, if your life had a face, I would punch it. Scott, you are the salt of the earth. I meant the scum of the earth. Like, insult
Okay.
queen. Mhm.
She and Knives get a beautiful moment in the comic books.
Do they? Oh,
Yes,
okay,
it's
That's
great.
good.
I'm gonna give it to Edgar Wright because I think this is an amazing adaptation and pulling that off. So, and I guess the music too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing I don't like about this movie other than zero black people. And I know I said I found one, but I don't know. I don't know if I saw him.
What? Are you taking that back now?
Look, well, once I can tell you the exact timestamp in the movie that I saw this nigga, then I'll say it. But because he could be credited and maybe his part got cut.
On my
he's on the
next rewatch,
credits.
I will look for a black man. I will
Yeah,
look for a black bouncer.
I don't
outside
know.
of
It
Chaos
says
Theater.
bouncer, so I don't know if he's outside.
DVD's still warm. I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's outside the chaos, or now I'm thinking maybe he could have been. Maybe the dudes that like Scott was cutting through were also
I'm gonna take
bouncers.
this. I'm gonna take this Google search where I said "black guy from Fallout Boy," and I'm gonna type "black guy in Scott Pilgrim."
But final thoughts. Anything we haven't already said?
I want to add that if you do find the table read on YouTube, because that's where they live streamed it, and then I'm sure it's still posted there. Brian O'Malley is there, like he periodically will like live draw a scene from the movie as they're like they are reading that part. He'll draw it, and then when they finish the scene, he'll like show the picture, and it's super cool because he's like we can watch him drawing on camera the scene
That's
that they're
so good.
acting out. Yeah, it's real good.
That he drew the hair like this picture in the comic book, and this translates to sound terribly. In the comic book, Scott takes his index fingers and moves them around by the sides of his face where her little Katara things are.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, he's like, Como, do you know a girl with hair like this? And
Yes, that's
because
for
I
Mona
have that line
Flowers.
in one of my songs, when I do it live, I do that.
Dude.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Aw.
I should just do the drawing myself and put it like I used to have a little table. I could have put it on there, and it's like when I get to that line, I can just hold it up, and people are like, oh, it's a Scott Pilgrim reference, and that's still only 4 people.
Yeah.
Crowd of 25, 3 to 4 people are like, oh, that's from that one movie with the guy.
Jeez. Like I said, we had it playing on. We had a nightclub as our venue for the reception, and we had it playing on the walls of the nightclub. If we do like a 10-year anniversary or something,
which is like, you know,
soon, maybe we should play it again, or maybe get another movie. I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But
I'll come up and do a one-man Sex Bomb tribute band.
Yes. Deal.
You got Mega Ran at your wedding. You got most of D&D Sluggers. I like to pretend there's other people in the band. You get most of D&D Sluggers for like the 10-year.
There you go. Nah, when you come, we got to do your Whispers cover band.
Okay.
And we should have 80s theme. It should be 80s theme.
Oh shoot! I just realized I was gonna grab the bass and try to do the bass line right quick, but it's like way over there. The only thing close to me is a guitar.
Are you planning our 10-year anniversary party live on your podcast right now?
I'm just joking. I'm just riffing. Ratings. I mean, it feels foolish asking it. We already.
I never do numbers. Okay. We're doing numbers.
Would you recommend this movie?
I always recommend this movie, but I never do numbers. I'm gonna do numbers today.
Oh shit!
This movie is a 9 out of 9.
Oh,
because no movie is a 10. So we rate accordingly.
Okay. All right.
9 out of 9. That's funny.
What's your decimal point ratio?
It actually is an even 9.0.
Oh, okay.
9.00. I mean, I can do the category numbers if you would like, but most
I don't
people
know
don't
how
what that
deep
means.
you got into Letterboxd, but is it on your top 4?
I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you anything that would be on my top 4 because I also don't know how deep I got into Letterboxd.
Well.
I'm gonna make this my one Letterboxd movie.
Also, I would have to like retroactively add Scott Pilgrim. It was because like I saw it long before I had a Letterboxd account, and I didn't go back and. Unlike you, sir, I do not have.
I know I have a list. I know the first time I saw it, you were with me, so I could tell you the exact date that you saw this movie first.
True, that is true. So, you could. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, 10 out of 10, life changing. I would buy the. It's not a Criterion, but I did buy the best version I could find, which is the Steelbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the janky DVD still.
I got the janky DVD
special
too.
features though.
Yeah. So plugs. It's been fun.
Oh, same old plugs. D&D Sluggers, keep an eye out. Since we're talking about Scott Pilgrim stuff, head over to my Instagram, keep an eye out because there's going to be a song released where I am rapping as one of the Scott Pilgrim characters. This is just happenstance coincidence.
There you go.
And there's a lot of really great people on it. Go to the Instagram of DJ Awesomeness Prime and follow him. He is the producer of the song, and there's a ton of people rapping on it. And I'm also on there rapping for no reason. I should stop doing that, but
no, keep it up.
We won't even get into it. I am on there. I'm pretty sure I didn't say it during the
rap,
episode.
I'll bring back my rap persona.
You'll edit it out, I know, if I did say it during the episode. But you guys, guess who you think I'm gonna be? It's not who you think it is, unless you're right. In which case, you're wrong.
You know you're wrong.
But D&D Sluggers any other time. Still.
All right, Cherry.
Still the same plug. I still have a podcast called Keeping It Creepy with Cherry and Kat. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to give us $3 a month to support us. But we post like bloopers and shorts and our thoughts about random things in the world that somehow relate to horror. And we will eventually have a YouTube channel.
Yay.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can follow the podcast at SGBK Podcast, Threads and Blue Sky. You can email us at sgbkpodcast@gmail.com. Follow me personally on Letterboxd at Tifron. And I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you love Scott Pilgrim, and I hope you check out the anime that's about to drop on Netflix, because we are all very excited.
Do we have a date on that?
Shit.
No. Okay.
No, it's there. It's like November 11th or 13th. Let me double
Oh.
check.
It's not long.
Yeah.
We went
So,
from
like-
being indefinitely who knows what it's gonna come out
So
to
here it
it's
is.
coming.
Yeah. Damn it. Where is it?
It's only because I asked. If I hadn't asked, you would know.
Scott Pilgrim's takes off. Wait, why is it not, why doesn't it say?
The date really not there?
November 17th. November 17th.
17th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think the rap song comes out on the 11th, so
There
keep
you
an
go.
eye out for both.
All right.
Oh my god, why am I
Okay.
doing a rap song?
Next week we are doing The Killer by, is that Fincher? Yeah, Fincher is The Killer. It's going to be another new Netflix drop. So check that out. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.